All right. Hello, everybody. I am Jessica and I'm an alcoholic. This is the Big Book Workshop of the Joe and Charlie step study. This is a 19-week group. Oh, this background is really weird. So I have uploaded into the chat. This will be a 19 session process. The first 5 weeks are on step 1, which is the big books pages 1 through 43. Week 6 will be step 2, which will start on We Agnostics. Week 7 is step 3, starting how it works. And week 8 will start step 4 with how it works. Step 4 will be a total of 9 sessions. And then the last couple of weeks, I believe it's the last 2 weeks, will be steps 10, 11, and 12. And then you will have worked the entire Joe and Charlie Big Book. I actually have a copy of this. I got this on Amazon. I don't know why this background keeps cutting me out on here. This is weird. This is $10 if you want your own hard copy. Otherwise, I do have the PDFs uploaded, which I will show in this chat as well. So I am just going to go by the format of the big book, and kind of explain the format, the first week kickoff, and I will answer any questions periodically throughout this meeting. So like I said, my name is Jessica and I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the Big Book Workshop. We as leaders do not consider ourselves to be the gurus of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, nor do we consider ourselves to be experts in anything at all. For those who care, please join me in a moment of silence to remember why we are here and for the alcoholic who is still suffering. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So please join me in the workshop prayer. And I am going to actually take 1 second and share my screen with y'all so you can follow along. I hope this ends up working. All right, there we go. Okay. So we are right here. All right. God, let me set aside everything I think I know about you, AA, myself, and the disease for an open mind and a new experience. Let me be honest and thorough. Amen. For the first couple of weeks, we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves in order to get to know one another. Obviously, since this is a trial run, we are not going to do that. And the purpose of this workshop is to experience the recovery process as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, either for the first time or again, so that we may better carry out and understand our primary purpose, which is to stay sober and carry the message to still suffering alcoholics. We are here to talk about recovery only and go through the 12-step process as outlined in the Big Book. This is not an emotional or intellectual exercise. This is a spiritual exercise, so we can all recover from the experience and the recovery process as we read it together. It is recommended that anything you hear here that cannot be reconciled in the Big Book, 12 and 12, or any AA approved literature be simply ignored. This is a non-crosstalk workshop. So the week 1 introduction, objectives and goals, which will start here on page 2. The following is suggested as an assignment sheet as outlined for the use of the step study workshop. It is suggested that before the study is completed, each member completes steps 1 through 12. During the first meeting, we will review this outline regarding the purpose, plan, and meeting format of the workshop. It is important that the commitment section of this outline be carefully reviewed so that you thoroughly understand that you are committing to take the steps. It is most helpful that everyone attend and be present as much as possible. It is also suggested that the homework be done after class and then reviewed with your sponsor before the next workshop. We will not be completing or reviewing homework in the workshop. You will need to do your homework with your sponsor in preparation for the following week's meeting. The purpose is to either provide the person who has not worked the 12 steps motivation and assistance in taking the 12 steps, or to provide those who have worked the 12 steps with an opportunity and the motivation to do it again, and help those who have not taken the 12 steps. And the plan, there is no designated seating arrangement because this is Zoom. So we are probably just going to skip over all of that. As far as exchanging phone numbers and stuff, there is a chat in here in Zoom if you would like to exchange numbers or talk to one another in there. That is totally appropriate. And like I said before, the time to complete the workshop is 19 weeks. And let's change this to page 3. Oops. Bear with me, this is my first time using this. I think if I can, oh, there we go. Okay, so the meeting format, the leader, me, I'm just going to discuss the outline material and share some of my experience that I've applied in my own life. It's suggested that each of you that come to the meeting have read the studied assignment from the previous week pertaining to the portions of the big book in the 12 and 12 as they relate to the step under consideration. The function of the members to apply the principles of each of their step in their daily lives and share their experience and discussion with each step with their sponsor. It's suggested that each member maintain a 3-ring binder, an ink pen, a highlighter, and a 3-hole paper notebook to record your notes. I do have a 3-ring binder that I have here. It keeps cutting out every time I hold it up, but I have printed out sheets that I'm sharing with you guys in here. And like I said, I also have the Amazon purchased copy available with me. And then also it said highlighters. I will go over these more. Pink and yellow. My sponsor had me get these colors because they represent different things that are important in the big book and help stay organized. And then just a basic notebook, and you can keep it all together. And that's really all you need. And of course, the big book. I have the study edition. This is available on Amazon. They're $20. They have every page of the big book, but also a blank spot where you can make notes with your sponsor. So that is that as far as materials. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? So the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous preface states that this book has become the basic text of our society. The foreword to this first edition states to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered. And additionally, on page 29 in the Big Book, it states further on, clear-cut directions are given showing how we have recovered. This is a task we are about to undertake. Oh, admit. Yay, we have our first person. Hey, Deanna. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I was trying to mute.
I actually, nobody joined, so I'm actually just kind of recording this because my Zoom records. So I just wanted to have this on record. I'm doing the same thing we went over last week, so you're welcome to stay on. Otherwise, this will be recorded and available for future reference.
I love it. Let's get into it.
Okay. So, yeah, we are on page 3. I actually kind of glad you're here. I don't know if you have a copy of the big book. I have my study edition, and I don't have those prefaces and stuff like we discussed last time. So
yeah, I have a big book right here.
Okay, I might have you read these. Oh, and you know Roman numerals, which I do not. If you would help with those. So yeah, page 3 here, it's wanting to read this.
Okay, that's 11.
Yeah, my study edition does not have that, so I'm obviously unprepared. But if you would read that, and then I don't know if you want to read this basic text after.
Okay, so I'm gonna read page 10 of paragraph 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 to 2 paragraphs.
Okay. Prior to this journey of Akron, the broker. Wait, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry. I was like, that doesn't sound right. Okay, so it's the preface of the big book of the 4th edition. This
Okay.
is the 4th edition of the book Alcoholics Anonymous. The first edition appeared in April 1939, and in the following 16 years, more than 300,000 copies went into circulation. The second edition, published in 1955, reached a total of more than 1,150,500 copies. The third edition, which came off of the press in 1976, achieved a circulation of approximately 19,550,000 in all formats. Because this book has become the basic text for our society and has helped such large numbers of alcoholic men and women to recovery, there exists strong sentiment against any radical changes being made in it. Therefore, the first portion of this volume describing the AA recovery program has been left largely untouched in the course of revisions made for the second, third, and fourth editions. The section called The Doctor's Opinion has been kept intact just as it was originally written in 1939 by the late Dr. William D. Skillworth, our society's great medical benefactor. And then it says to read after page 11, paragraph 2, which is basically what I did.
Oh, okay, perfect. Do you want to read the basic text in this right on here, or do you want me to?
Yeah, you can read it. It's a little smaller for me.
Thank you for reading that.
No problem.
All right, the basic text. A textbook is a book that is used to transfer information from the mind of one human being through the written word to the mind of another human being, thereby increasing the knowledge of the user of the textbook. Textbook is always written in a certain sequence. It assumes that the reader of the subject matter will know very little about it. We'll start at a simple level. As the reader's knowledge increases, the material presented becomes a little more difficult. The big book is a textbook written in standard textbook format. It assumes we know nothing about the disease of alcoholism, and it starts describing what the problem is, then describes a solution, and gives us a program of action so we can follow the solution. We believe that the doctor's opinion in the first 4 chapters of the big book prepares for chapter 5. If we go through the big book in this way, we'll be able to see how each chapter dovetails into the next chapter, building information on information. The other idea is that the alcoholics haven't changed since 1939. Alcohol hasn't changed either. Therefore, we haven't found it necessary to change the program of recovery. So now, let's see, let's take a look at the table of contents of Alcoholics Anonymous, referred to as the Big Book. The Big Book is structured and laid out in a very particular manner. We read the doctor's opinion and chapter 1, Bill's story, and we're looking for the problem. More is revealed in the Big Book, but most of the information about the problem is found here in these 2 chapters. If we truly see the problem, then we'll be able to see that there are 2 parts, the physical allergy and the obsession of the mind. We'll be able to understand the powerlessness or the powerless condition of the mind and body and can see that we truly are powerless. This is step 1. Step 1 says we are powerless, and if we are powerless, then obviously the solution lies within power. And as we continue to study the Big Book, we will learn that there is nothing we can do about the physical allergy of the body, that our only hope of recovery is through the mind. Chapter 2, there is a solution. Chapter 3, more about alcohol. I don't know what happened. I think our internet went out.
Yeah, probably.
I just reconnected to our other Wi-Fi.
Nice house, by the way.
Thank you. I have no idea where that cut off, so I guess I'll just start back and reshare my.
We were at the table of contents. Table of contents.
Is that the last you heard? Okay. Can you see this screen again?
No, I just see you.
Shoot. Hold up. How about now?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. I gotta figure out how to read it. There we go. Okay, we're back. So, all right, let's take a look at the contents of the book Alcoholics Anonymous, referred to as the Big Book. The Big Book is structured and laid out in a very particular manner. When we read the doctor's opinion in chapter 1, Bill's story, we are looking into the problem. More is reviewed further on in the Big Book, but most of the information about the problem is found in these 2 chapters. If we can truly see the problem, then we'll be able to see that there are 2 parts. 1, the physical allergy, and 2, the obsession of the mind. We'll be able to understand the powerless condition of the mind and body and can see that we truly are powerless. This is step 1. Step 1 says we are powerless. So if we are powerless, then obviously the solution lies within power. As we continue to study the big book, we'll learn that there's nothing we can do about the physical allergy, that the only hope of recovery is through the mind. Chapter 2, there is a solution. Chapter 3, more about alcoholism. And Chapter 4, we agnostics, gives us this information. From these chapters, we learn that we might be able to come to believe that there's a power greater than ourselves which could restore us to sanity. This is step 2. So if the problem is that we are powerless and the solution is a power greater than ourselves, then the only other thing we need to know is how do we find this power? So again, the big book gives us what we need, a practical program of action, which is laid out in chapter 5, how it works, chapter 6, into action, and chapter 7, working with others. These 3 chapters contain the remaining suggested steps. Steps 3 through 12, which are the practical program of action. And if we apply this practical program of action, steps 3 through 12 in our lives, we will find that powers which will overcome our powerless condition. It's just that simple. It's a simple program for complicated people. The big book is written in a specific sequence to convey certain ideas in a precise order so that we may recover from alcoholism, which makes Alcoholics Anonymous especially a fascinating book. Oof, that was a lot of reading. Very dry. All right, so we only have a couple more pages of this to go over. We are going to be going over the next couple weeks, like I said at the beginning, goal 1, which is our problem. We will be reading the doctor's opinion next week. Chapter 1, Bill's story is included in this. So this all goes through step 1, which is the powerless. Goal 2 is our solution, which is chapters 2, 3, and 4, which talks about the power. And then goal 3, the action necessary for recovery, which is chapters 5, 6, and 7, and how we find that power. So I actually need your help again, Deanna. The forward to the first edition highlights with these Roman numerals here. I don't have access to this in my big book. But
All right, give me 1 second. That's gonna be page 13.
Okay, I trust you.
Oh, I opened. Oh no, I was like, oh, I opened right up to it. I didn't.
I hope when the internet cut out, it didn't delete the first part of this recording.
I don't think so. I think should save. Okay, so forward to the first edition. I'm gonna read the first paragraph.
Okay.
We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seamlessly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further it will be necessary. We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person. And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all.
Thank you. All right, so the big book forward to the first edition suggests 2 pertinent ideas. 1, this book was written by, wait, did you already read this? Or is it says in the book?
No, well, so that what I was reading was a part of forward to the first edition.
Okay, just basically what it says here. Do you want to read number 2?
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. Our book does not deal with the membership or the fellowship. It deals with recovery only. We choose to do what the first 100 people did to recover. Then, sorry, the text is really small. I'm having
reading it off the screen.
Then we should expect the same result, which is recovery from the disease of alcoholism.
Thank you, Deanna. Thanks for sharing. All right. Forward to the first edition from Dr. Silkworth's Diagnostics. Oh, I need your help again. Read it. So what is that, 15? What is that Roman numeral? 15?
Which one?
Right here.
That's 16.
Okay, that's a very specific 9 lines from the top.
Okay.
I don't know how many lines, but I guess just 9 lines from the top.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm getting there.
In fact, I'm
Okay,
applying for nursing school and I really don't know how to read Roman numerals. It's very concerning.
6, 7, 8, 9. Uh, I'm just gonna. It's basically in the middle of a paragraph.
Okay.
I'm gonna just read the rest of the paragraph. From this doctor, the broker had learned the grave nature of alcoholism. Though he could not accept all the tenets of the Oxford groups, he was convinced of the need for a moral inventory, confession of personality defects, restitutions to those harmed, helpfulness to others, and the necessity of belief in and dependence upon God. Wait, did I read that right?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't have it in this study edition. That's
Yes, I did.
downside to this big book. It doesn't have all the forewords and all this stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, this is from the forward to the second edition. It's yeah, I
Okay.
read the right thing.
It's perfect. Thank you. It does kind of seem similar to what's below it, so I'm sure that's right. So in 1933, Dr. Silkworth treated Bill W. and explained he believed the disease of alcoholism. He believed it was 1, not a lack of willpower. 2, it was not a lack of moral character. And 3, it was not a sin. Dr. Silkworth said, Bill, I believe alcoholism is an actual disease and a peculiar disease. It is a disease of the body and as well as a disease of the mind. The doctor said, Bill, when people like you drink, they react entirely different than normal people. Normal people take a drink and they get a slightly warm, comfortable, relaxing feeling. They maybe have 1 or 2 drinks and that's all they want to drink. But people like you take a drink and you get a physical feeling in your body that produces a craving that demands more of the same. When you start, instead of 1 or 2, you end up with 3, 4, 6, 8, 10 until you get drunk, sick, and in trouble. This is abnormal, and it only happens to 1 of 10 people. Therefore, Bill, I'll say that physically, you have become allergic to alcohol and react abnormally to it. Also, you have developed an obsession of the mind. Normal people do not care if they drink or not. They can drink today, tomorrow, a month from now. It's not a big deal to them. But people like you, Bill, have developed an obsession of the mind to drink. That obsession is so strong, it'll make you believe something that isn't true. From time to time, you've been told you cannot drink, and from time to time, you've known you cannot drink. From time to time, you've even sworn off from drinking. The obsession of the mind is an idea that says, now you can drink. This time it will be different. This time you'll only take 1 drink. That obsession is so strong, it makes you believe you can drink, and just before you drink, you know it's going to be okay. It will always lead you back to taking a drink, and the drink will trigger the allergy, and then you will be unable to stop drinking. People like you have become hopeless. After this conversation, Bill left a hospital and stayed sober for a while, but his obsession of the mind told him he could still drink, and he did. 1 year later, he was put back into the hospital under Dr. Silkworth's care, and again, this doctor pronounced him incurable. He left in the summer of 1934 knowing he could not drink, and the fear kept him sober for a while. On Armistice Day, 1934, he told him he could not drink. He took a drink and triggered the allergy and could not stop. The next part, Ebby Thatcher's opinion. Ebby, who had been in the Oxford group, came to visit Bill, and Bill gave Bill 2 additional pieces of information. Dr. Silkworth had explained the problem. Ebby said, Bill, the solution to the problem is finding a power greater than human power. People like us have become absolutely powerless over alcohol. If we are to recover, we have to find a power greater than alcohol, greater than we are, and greater than human power. If human power could have worked, we would have recovered a long time ago. Willpower would have done it, doctors would have done it, and ministers would have done it. But none of them have helped us. If we can find the power greater than human power, then we can recover. The Oxford group has given me a practical program of action, and they guarantee that if I applied in my life, I would find that power, and I wouldn't have to drink anymore. Look at me, I've been sober for 2 months. Bill knew Ebby and how he drank. He knew a miracle had happened in Ebby's life. From these 3 pieces of information, he had recovered from his disease. Oh, I should probably switch this so people can follow along. We're right here. So 1, he had learned the problem from Dr. Silkworth. He had learned the solution from Ebby Thatcher and the Oxford group. And 3, he received the practical program of action. Bill applied the action in his life and found that power and never had a drink again. Bill W. got sober December 12th, 1934, and passed away sober in January 1971 with 35 years of sobriety. I know it says it's time to close this meeting. But we're just gonna go over the next steps of this. The Big Book's homework workshop assignment. It's suggested that you go through these after the workshop and go over with your sponsor before the next time that we meet for the study. You can read step 1 in the 12 and 12 and highlight anything you can relate to. I actually, when I worked the steps, I didn't have a 12 and 12. My sponsor had me read pages 1 through 43, which is the first step, and kind of highlight anything that I could relate to. So if you don't have a 12 and 12, you can definitely use the Big Book and do the same concept. 2, read the doctor's opinion. If you do that, that would be helpful before next week, because we will discuss the doctor's opinion in depth, which would be helpful. The doctor's opinion also, when I got sober, I kind of highlighted everything I related to it that as well, as far as the allergy and the obsession. And then 3, the doctor's opinion, read it a second time and work the assignment questions below. Answer them in complete sentences on how you were powerless over alcohol. And it's equally important to write any reservations that you have about this fact, the fact that you are powerless over alcohol. So with that being said, that is literally everything in the workshop for the first week. If there were more people here, I would answer questions, but I also kind of want to open it up to some notes that I had for myself. As it mentioned at the beginning of this, it said that as someone who leads a group, any advice that we could possibly give of how we got sober. There are a few parts that I thought were helpful. I did do the highlighting of the doctor's opinion. I found that extremely helpful. I found the obsession of the mind is completely different than the allergy. When we look at the word allergy is an abnormal reaction to any substance. So the way I drink is definitely an abnormal reaction, like we were just talking about. So any abnormal reaction that I found in the doctor's opinion, I kind of highlighted that I related with. And then basically, in a nutshell, step 1, I don't think it's something personally that if I'm working with somebody, or I mean, I haven't attempted these steps. This is my second time attempting the steps. The first time I wouldn't even really count it, because I don't think I was fully convinced that I was powerless and that my life was unmanageable. I personally think that step 1 is done outside of AA. I think it's kind of you're either convinced or you're not. There's no human power that could get me sober. I could not sit with a sponsor or anybody else to sit and tell me, oh, identify how you're powerless. See how your life is unmanageable, and try to convince me that it is. You either are or you're not. When it was asking to go over reservations, in the past, when I wasn't ready to get sober, of course I had reservations. I can't do step 1. I'm just not ready. There's no amount of human convincing that can get us there. So I feel like anyone that's in this study, and willing to take the time and step in the rooms of AA and get to step work, you're already convinced. If you're not convinced, or someone's making you do this, then, that's just something that you have to work. That's between you and God at that point. But I'm fully convinced anyone that's sitting here, and like you, Deanna, we already did that out there. We knew we were powerless, that our lives were unmanageable, and now we're looking for how do we get that power and find that power. So, step 1 was done. We come here, we have to be willing to change. We have to come to believe, we make a decision, and we put action behind it. And once we get into step 2 and 3, like I said last week, it says we will have a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. It doesn't say at steps 2 and 3, before we move on to step 4 and get stuck and we haven't changed yet, that we're just going to magically believe that God's going to, it says as a result of these steps. To believe in something is, we don't know for sure. We just have to be able to believe that we can be restored to sanity. That's all we have to do. But we won't know it until we've gone through the steps. And that's why, as a result of these steps, I no longer have to believe in a higher power to restore me to sanity. I know that a higher power will restore me to sanity because God has done that for me and the promises have came true in my life. So there's not a doubt in my mind that it can be done. I know that it can be done. And that's really all I have as far as that. If anyone's questioning any differences between spirituality and religion, and I can never get this to show up when I hold up stuff, but take a Google, look up the definition of spirituality and religion. You'll find that spirituality involves a personal quest for a meaning of life, while religion involves an organized entity with rituals and practices focusing on a god or higher power. And just to go over that meaning of belief, we just have to have confidence that the truth or something out there is reliable, but we don't have that absolute proof. That's just believing. So that's the difference between knowing and believing, if that helps anybody else out. Deanna, did you have anything as far as your step work for advice on step 1?
Oh, no, you basically covered it. Just like going through the doctor's opinion and highlighting the stuff that you don't know the terms to, and then look them up, write down the definitions to that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for attending. I'm going to try to get this video together and then post it. And that's basically it. Next week, we will start the doctor's opinion. If you or anybody has any questions after this is posted, as far as the homework, I'm definitely willing to go over questions. But if you have a sponsor that is preferred, to go over with them to tell you exactly what you need to do. Other than that, I will adjourn this meeting at 9:34 p.m.
Way to go, Jess.
Thanks. Thanks for letting me share.
No problem.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Bye.